Hi. Hey, Russ here. Welcome back to my shop. Today I want to talk about my miter saw. I'm going to show you some ideas of how I use mine, and maybe you can take some of those ideas and twist them around and make them better, make your miter saw better. Before I start, I want to say that doing this has been inspired by a channel that I've been a subscriber to for a little while, God's Fourth Handyman. Great little channel. 3 weeks ago, he did one on his miter saw setup. Very simple, some really basic ideas that I really liked it. But he also made me realize that, my miter saw has some good ideas about it too. And you may not do everything or agree with everything you see, but if you pay attention, you may find a little idea there somewhere of that you can use that single idea to make your miter saw even better. So anyway, it's not pretty, but it has been very functional. When I bought this saw 15 years ago, whenever it was, it's just a Makita LS 1011, and it's obsolete now. You can't even buy it, but it's been a good saw for me. It was a more expensive saw than most of them. It was the upper end on the quality of it, and I've been happy that I got it. When I first got it, first thing I did is the Shop Notes magazine, number 11, its premier article was about this miter saw station that you built. But I didn't build the whole station. All I built was the basic box of it. I didn't do the wing extensions or the fence extension. I didn't do any of that. But I made the basic box, and I mounted this on here, and I found by having this little bit of extra, it really makes this saw for longer pieces a lot better to be able to hold it. Because I sometimes would take this, throw it in my vehicle, take it to the job site and use it. And by keeping it on this box at all times and moving it back into my shop, putting it in place, or if I needed it, I could load it and take it and use it. This box is wonderful to use rather than just the saw. For example, if you want to set up on sawhorses, you can't just set this thing directly up on sawhorses. But I can set this directly up on two sawhorses without anything else. The base of this, with the flat bottom, makes it easy to do that. If I want to set it on the floor and use it, I can do that. No, I don't do that anymore. I ain't no way I'm going to go down there and do cuts. Getting a little too old for that kind of stuff. But you can. That's one thing I like about this saw. So the box basic was an excellent idea by Shop Notes, even though I didn't use it all. For the extension wings, what I did was, you had this open channel, and on their wing, you had to take it, pull it out, turn it around, and then it stuck out here. And when you were done, you would take it loose, flip it back around, and slide it in. And you slide them in from each side, they go past each other, and the extension wing was the length of what this box width was. Well, on mine, I just made it a little simpler. All I did was, I have this knob down here that I loosened, and now I can take, and I had just a 2x4 going into a channel that extends all the way to here, and this one extends all the way to here, so I can move these in and out as necessary. If I need a stop for this, I have this flip up here so that I can then get a stop to hold my piece at a certain place and still get support on the end of the board. So, very simple. Didn't add any weight to the unit, and it works real well for that sort of thing. So I put it where I needed, then I just locked the nut down, the knob underneath. And that's been a good improvement for this. When I had my other shop, my long time ago, I built a nice workstation like the J. Bates. But the difference I did, and I've never seen anybody else do it, I built my station so this whole box would slide into place and set up immediately. One screw held it in place and I was done. When I needed it, if I had to load it and take it to site, all I had to do was take the one screw out, pull the whole box out, take it, put it up on sawhorses, on the floor, whatever I needed to, use it, and when I'm done, I could bring it back, and I slid it back in. My dust hood was built into the station itself, but all I had to do to use it and then to haul it was bring it down, lock it down completely, disconnect the hose, disconnect the cord, and then I can lift it up, put it in my truck, and bring it back. And to bring it back into place, I slid it in place, hooked up my hose, plugged it back in, and I was ready to go back in the workshop. And it was set up and accurate at that point. So using it as a whole box, one unit, really makes this saw a little better to move around, use it out if you need to. Plus, when I moved out of that shop and I gave up that workstation, all I did was I took it and I put it on this box here, which is a cart that holds my fan. This is a furnace fan, and it goes in here, the air, and it blows out over here. And I can set this anywhere. I roll it around, so if I'm working in a hot day, either outside or inside, I can roll this wherever I want it, point it toward me, and get some nice air to help keep me more comfortable. So I just use this box to mount this up on top of it for this shop for now. Eventually I want to build another workstation, and it's going to go right here, as a matter of fact. And then this will still be on this original box that will slide in and out of the workstation rather than just the saw being able to move in and out. You never know when you're going to have to load it up and take it somewhere and do something on site. So my workstation will hold the whole box instead of just the saw. So the other improvement I've made to this is on my dust collection. And I did a video on a theme baffle back in May, I believe, somewhere in there. And if you look up my one that talks about a theme baffle, you'll find that's the theme baffle I'm talking about right here. And what I did was, it's just a 2 paint bucket system. The lower one is just held by a bungee cord, so I can empty that in just a couple of minutes. And the shop vac is sitting back here also to give me the vacuum. The hose runs up, hooks up, and that's my whole system for collecting a lot of the dust. I have the dust hood. All the dust that doesn't go up the chute just falls in the back here. And I just scoop it out every now and then. Simple, works well, no, excuse me, and it's no problem. So that's my total dust system. And it does keep my dust under control that this thing puts out. If you talk to anybody, you're right, that thing really is one of the worst mess makers in the shop. But this dust hood and the shop vac, the way I have it set up, does collect about 95% of what comes out when you're cutting with this. So the last improvement I want to talk about is my fence. On this particular saw, I have about an 18-inch extension here. It used to be about 24 inches. And they're just on there on the T-track. And all this is a piece of OSB and a piece of MDF. And I cut a T-track in it. Used a couple of carriage bolts with a nut on the back here and a dowel. And that way I can turn it and lock it down and loosen it by hand. I don't need a tool. And then this goes on there and it just slides back and forth. So that if I change my angle, I can set these up to still get zero clearance. And over the years, if I do it at an odd angle, then when I set it to zero clearance, it chops off on my fence. But because of the way I made this, it's no big deal. When I go back to center, I just reset my fence, make a cut, and now this is straight again. And like I said, I've lost about 4 inches of the thing since I first built them. And eventually I'll just build another set once they get too short. So, but for a fence system, it works real well. You don't need 8 foot of back fence to hold your board. In fact, that always can be a problem, having that extra fence back there. You only need this much. When you push your board against here, you know you're going to be straight. If your board has a little bit of a curve to it, it's going to interfere with getting this flat against there. Gosforth talks about that in his video, and you'll see what he's talking about. He's right. And so, having just this amount of fence is all you really need 99% of the time when you're doing cuts, even on long boards, to get it cut the angle you want. So, this simple fence system has been a pretty good addition to this saw. Simple, easy, didn't cost me anything, and it's easy to replace if something goes wrong with it, or if eventually I get it cut too short by chopping it off little by little. So that's my fence system. So this is my saw. It's nothing fancy, far from it. Eventually I hope to get it back into a miter station. When I do, the whole box will set in there, not just the saw, so that I can still pull the whole thing out and take it. This has been great, having this basic box attached to my saw and like this, all one unit. It really helps when you change your needs about how to use your chop saw or your miter saw. So you might want to keep that in mind rather than just having it set. Build the box. Shop Notes 11 is the box idea that I used. Check it out if you want and see if you think it might work for you. So if you have any questions or suggestions about how I did this, leave them in the comments below. I read them all. I enjoy reading them. If you like this video, say so. Most importantly though, come back again because we're nowhere near done. Thanks. We'll see you again soon.